My beloved, there are moments in life when the weight of living seems too heavy to bear. Times when silence feels louder than words, when your heart trembles beneath the burden of loss, betrayal, or disappointment. In those hours, you may whisper to yourself, "I feel broken." And yet, let me tell you this truth: to feel broken does not mean you are finished. To feel shattered does not mean you are less. Brokenness is not the end of your story. It is the soil from which new strength can grow. When you feel broken, remember that you are not alone. Across centuries, across oceans, across generations, countless souls have walked through darkness, carrying their pain as you carry yours. And still, they endured. The cracks in their hearts became the very places where compassion entered, where wisdom settled, where resilience was born. Understand this: your scars are not signs of defeat. They are proof that you have wrestled with storms and yet refused to be washed away. Every scar tells a story, and your story is one the world needs to hear. The world does not demand your perfection. It longs for your authenticity, your courage, your truth. When you feel broken, it is not a call to hide, it is a call to rise. For it is in the broken places that the light finds its way in. Think of the shattered glass that becomes a mosaic, more radiant and beautiful after being pieced together. So too can your life become a masterpiece, not in spite of the breaks, but because of them. Do not mistake silence for absence. In your quiet nights, when tears fall freely, strength is forming quietly in your soul. Your spirit is being refined. Just as gold is purified by fire, the fire does not destroy the gold, it reveals its brilliance. And so too, your pain is not the end of you, it is the process of your unveiling. Your spirit is unbreakable. Flesh may falter, dreams may be delayed, friendships may fracture, but the essence of who you are, your soul, your truth, your divine spark, cannot be broken. Hold on to that unshakable truth when everything else feels fragile. And finally, my dear one, choose to rise again. Stand with trembling knees if you must, walk with unsteady steps if you must, but rise. For brokenness is not your burial ground, it is your birthing place. You were not created to remain in pieces. You were created to shine, to uplift, to endure, and to become whole again. So when you feel broken, remember this: you are not defeated. You are becoming. You are not discarded. You are being reshaped. And though your heart may feel heavy, your spirit has wings. Spread them. Rise live. When you feel broken, the very first step is not to run, not to deny, not to cover it beneath a mask of smiles and polite gestures. The first step is to acknowledge the brokenness, to whisper to your own soul, "Yes, I am hurting. Yes, something within me feels shattered." There is no shame in recognizing your wounds. The greatest strength begins with honesty, and honesty begins with facing what is real inside of you. Far too often we are taught to hide our pain. We are told to swallow the tears, to tighten the jaw, to straighten the shoulders, and pretend that nothing can touch us. But denial does not heal. It only buries the wound deeper, where it festers in silence. There is courage in admitting that life has knocked you down, that loss has left you empty, that betrayal has stolen your trust. Acknowledging your brokenness does not make you weak, it makes you human. And humanity is not a weakness. It is the bond that ties us all together. When you say to yourself, "I am broken," you are not declaring your defeat. You are declaring the truth of your moment. And there is a sacred kind of power in truth. For the truth does not chain you, it frees you. It frees you from the exhausting performance of pretending to be whole when you are not. It frees you from the prison of silence that isolates you from others who know the very same pain. The moment you speak it, the moment you feel it, the moment you admit it, the healing has already begun. Think of a vessel cracked by time. If the vessel insists it is perfect, it will continue to leak, wasting its contents in secret. But if the vessel confesses its crack, it can be mended, sealed, even strengthened in the broken place. So it is with your heart, your spirit, your life. There is no restoration without recognition. There is no mending without acknowledgement of the break. To acknowledge your brokenness is also to honor your journey. It is to look back and say, "Something hurt me, something wounded me, something changed me." You cannot rise if you refuse to admit that you fell. You cannot be rebuilt if you pretend you never crumbled. By naming what broke you, you take authority over it. It no longer controls you in secret. It no longer whispers in the shadows. You drag it into the light, and in the light, healing begins. Do not let anyone shame you for your honesty. Some may tell you, do not speak of your pain. Some may say, do not let them see you cry. But tears are not weakness. They are evidence that your heart is still alive, still capable of feeling, still capable of loving. And only a living heart can be healed. Only a heart that acknowledges its wound can become whole again. When you acknowledge your brokenness, you create room for others to do the same. Your honesty becomes their permission. Your courage becomes their comfort. Because every human being knows what it is to hurt, yet so few dare to speak it aloud. Your voice may be the light that allows someone else to step out of their darkness. Your willingness to face your truth may be the invitation for another to face theirs. And in that shared space of honesty, healing flows more freely than it ever could in silence. It is not easy to stand before yourself raw and uncovered and admit the weight you carry. It is not easy to face the mirror and say, I am not who I once was. I am not as strong as I pretended to be. I am not as unshaken as I tried to appear. But there is power in that confession, because from there you can rise authentically. You can rebuild from the foundation of truth, not from the fragile walls of denial. Remember, brokenness is not permanent. It is a condition of the moment, not the definition of your being. When you acknowledge it, you open the door for change. You allow the possibility of repair, the possibility of renewal, the possibility of growth. You may not know how the healing will come, or when the pieces will begin to fit again, but you have already taken the most important step. You have dared to say, I am broken, but I am here. I am hurt, but I am alive. And that acknowledgement, simple and profound, is the seed of your comeback. For only the soil that has been turned can receive new seed. Only the ground that has been broken can bring forth new life. When you acknowledge your brokenness, you declare to the world that you are ready, not to be defeated, but to be transformed. You say to your own soul, I will not lie to myself any longer. I will stand in the truth, and in that truth I will find my healing. So do not be afraid to speak your pain. Do not be afraid to admit your fracture. Do not be afraid to confess your hurt, because the moment you do, you have already begun the journey back to strength. And though you may walk that road with tears, though you may stumble with trembling steps, you will discover that your honesty has given you wings. Acknowledgement is not the end, it is the beginning. It is the breath that says, I will rise. It is the whisper that grows into a shout of victory. It is the gentle courage that blossoms into unstoppable resilience. When you feel broken, acknowledge it. Do not hide, do not run, do not pretend. Acknowledge it, and watch how truth becomes the path to your healing, your rising, your becoming. Your scars are proof of survival. They are the quiet witnesses of the storms you have endured, the evidence that you have walked through valleys that tried to swallow you whole, and yet you emerged on the other side. Too often, scars are seen as blemishes, as marks of shame, as something to be hidden. But let me tell you, there is no shame in surviving. There is no dishonor in bearing the marks of the battles you have fought. Each scar tells a story of resilience, a story of courage, a story that says, I endured, I withstood, I refused to be undone. Think of the body. When it is wounded, it bleeds, it aches, it struggles. But in time, it begins to heal itself, weaving tissue across the break, sealing what was once torn. The scar that remains is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of healing. It means the wound did not win. It means life insisted on continuing. In the same way, your emotional and spiritual scars are not reminders of your defeat, but proof of your persistence. They are the visible declaration that what tried to destroy you did not succeed. Your scars do not diminish your beauty. They deepen it. For beauty that has never known pain is shallow, fragile, fleeting. But beauty that has endured hardship, beauty that has been carved by struggle, beauty that has been tempered by fire, this is the kind of beauty that cannot be shaken. When people look at you and see your scars, they see someone who has faced loss but kept moving, who has been broken but did not stay broken, who has known darkness but still carries light. Do not hide your scars as though they make you less. They make you more. They are chapters of your story that no one else can claim. They carry within them the lessons of endurance, the wisdom of suffering, the strength of overcoming. They remind you of where you have been and how far you have come. Each one whispers to you in the silence, you are still here. And being here is victory in itself. When you look at your scars, do not see defeat, see survival. See the sleepless nights you endured and still rose in the morning. See the heartbreak that left you trembling, but could not steal your capacity to love again. See the failures that cut you deeply, but did not erase your determination to try once more. Your scars are your trophies, not your burdens. They are medals of honor placed upon you by life itself, declaring that you have fought and you have lived. Even in nature, scars tell a story. The tree struck by lightning still stands with its scarred trunk, yet it reaches ever upward toward the sky. The mountain carved by centuries of storms still towers, scarred but unmoved, bearing witness to time. The earth itself holds scars of fire and flood, and yet it remains fertile, giving life to generations. If nature can wear its scars with dignity, so can you. Some scars remain tender to the touch. They ache when you remember the pain that birthed them. That is natural. Healing does not erase memory. But even in the ache, the scar says, I am closed now. The wound is no longer open. You have survived what once threatened to undo you. That memory, though painful, is also sacred. It is the proof that you carried burdens heavier than you imagined, and yet you did not crumble completely beneath them. You bent. But you did not break. There will be those who cannot understand your scars. They may question why you share your story, why you reveal your pain. They may even attempt to make you feel small because of it. But do not listen. Their lack of understanding does not erase your truth. You owe no one silence about what shaped you. Your scars may be the very testimony someone else needs to believe they too can endure. By showing your scars, you show another soul that healing is possible, that survival is possible, that joy after pain is possible. Your scars are the bridges between your yesterday and your tomorrow. They remind you of the moments when you thought you would not make it, and yet you did. They remind you that you are not fragile glass, but tempered steel, refined in the fires of trial. Every time you trace the lines of your scars in memory or in sight, you remind yourself, I am still standing, and standing after the storm is no small thing. It is a triumph. So wear your scars with pride. Do not cover them with shame. Do not bury them in silence. They are your living proof that you did not surrender. They are proof that your story did not end in despair. They are proof that when life pushed you to the edge, you found a way to hold on. And even if the climb was slow, even if the healing was long, you made it. You are here. You are alive. And you are stronger because of every scar you carry. In time, you may even come to love your scars. Not because you love the pain that caused them, but because you love the person you became in spite of it. You may run your hand across the memory of the wound and smile, not with joy for the suffering, but with reverence for the strength it gave you. You will know that you are more than your pain. You are the survival that rose from it. Your scars are not your shame. They are your songs. They sing of nights survived, of mornings welcomed, of battles won. They are your sacred marks of endurance, painted on the canvas of your life by the hand of time. And every time you see them, remember this: you are not broken beyond repair. You are living proof that survival is possible. You are the testimony that resilience is real. You are here, and that is enough. Strength is born in silence, not in the clamor of applause, not in the noise of recognition, not in the loud affirmations of others, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching and no one is listening. It is in the stillness of night, when your heart aches and your eyes are heavy with unshed tears, that something sacred is forming within you. Silence has a way of pressing against the soul, of forcing you to listen to yourself, to confront your fears, to wrestle with your doubts. And in that confrontation, strength begins to rise. When life strips away the noise, the distractions, the comfort of constant company, You are left face to face with yourself. Silence is often uncomfortable because it reveals what we would rather not hear. It exposes the thoughts we try to outrun during the day, the insecurities we drown out with laughter, the pain we hide behind our busy schedules. Yet it is in this very discomfort that growth begins, for silence is not your enemy, it is your teacher. And though the lessons may be heavy, they prepare you for a strength you cannot gain any other way. Strength is not forged in easy places. It is forged in the spaces where you sit alone and wonder if you can endure. It is forged in the hours when you have no one to lean on but yourself, when you cry into the dark and hear no reply but the echo of your own sobs. In those moments, you learn that you are more resilient than you imagined. You learn that you can survive even when the voices of encouragement are absent. You learn that you do not need constant validation to keep moving forward. The silence teaches you to draw from the well of your own soul. In silence, you discover that the world may strip away many things: friendships, opportunities, recognition. But it cannot strip away your will. It cannot steal your spirit. It cannot extinguish the fire within you unless you give it permission. And when you sit long enough in the quiet, when you endure the heaviness of solitude, you find that your spirit speaks louder than the silence itself. It whispers, "Keep going." It breathes, "Rise again." It assures you are stronger than this moment. Think of the seed planted deep within the soil. It does not grow in the open air, under the constant gaze of the world. It grows in silence, in darkness, in obscurity. Hidden from sight, it wrestles against the weight of the earth pressing down upon it. Yet in that quiet struggle, life is forming. Roots are reaching, stems are pushing. A strength is being born that no one sees until one day the seed breaks through the soil and greets the sun. Your life is no different. In the silent seasons, you are like the seed. The pressure you feel is not meant to bury you. It is meant to grow you. The strongest souls are not those who have never known loneliness. They are the ones who have sat with it, embraced it, and learned from it. They are the ones who found comfort in their own company, who listened to the voice within when all other voices grew silent. Silence has a way of stripping you down to the core of who you are. It removes the mask, the pretenses, the noise. It leaves only you, raw, vulnerable, authentic. And in that rawness, strength is forged like steel and fire. There will be times when silence feels unbearable. You may long for someone to understand, for someone to hear, for someone to rescue you from the weight of your solitude. But do not despise those seasons. They are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to refine you. For strength born in silence carries a different kind of power, a quiet, steady resilience that does not depend on circumstances. It is a strength that does not boast, does not shout, does not demand attention. It simply endures. And endurance, my dear one, is what carries you farther than talent, farther than beauty, farther than fleeting applause. When you emerge from silence, you are different. You carry a depth others cannot easily shake. You have learned to be still in the storm. You have learned to breathe when the world felt suffocating. You have learned that silence is not emptiness. It is fullness waiting to be discovered. And once you have learned its lessons, you walk with a quiet authority. You no longer fear being alone, for you know solitude does not diminish you, it strengthens you. Strength born in silence is steady. It does not crumble when criticized. It does not waver when overlooked. It does not shrink when abandoned. It is the kind of strength that allows you to walk through fire and not be consumed, to face valleys and not be undone, to sit in the shadows and still believe in the light. And though others may not understand it, they will see it. They will wonder how you stand so firmly, how you walk so calmly, how you endure so gracefully. The answer will not be in what you gained in the spotlight, but in what you learned in the silence. So when you find yourself in a season of quiet, do not rush to escape it. Do not run to fill it with noise. Sit with it. Listen to it. Learn from it. For silence is not empty. It is alive with lessons that will shape your destiny. It is in those hushed hours that strength is born, the kind of strength that carries you through every storm, every trial, every broken place. And when the world grows loud again, you will carry within you a calm, unshakable power forged not in noise but in silence. Broken pieces can create beauty. It may seem hard to believe when you are standing in the middle of your own shattered places, when your dreams lie in fragments at your feet, when your heart feels like it has been scattered beyond recognition. In those moments, the brokenness feels final, as though nothing good can ever rise from it again. Yet, history, nature, and the very rhythm of life itself whisper a different truth. Beauty can be born from brokenness. What once was fractured can be reshaped into something more radiant than it ever was before. Consider the art of stained glass. It begins with shards, jagged, uneven, useless on their own. But in the hands of the artist, those very shards are arranged into patterns that catch the light in ways whole glass never could. The sunlight streaming through fractured pieces becomes breathtaking, a mosaic of color that tells a story. Your life, too, can become a mosaic. What you thought were irreparable fragments can, in time, be pieced together into something that reflects light in ways untouched lives never can. The cracks do not disqualify you, they make you capable of brilliance. There is something profoundly human about being broken and then remade. To walk through suffering is to be humbled, to be softened, to be changed. The pain of breaking carves out deeper places in you, places where compassion can live, where empathy can breathe, where love can take root. Before the breaking, you may have been whole, but perhaps you were also closed, untouched, untested. After the breaking, you are open, and in that openness, beauty finds room to grow. We are taught to fear brokenness, to avoid it, to cover it quickly as though it is a shameful secret. But brokenness is not the end of the story. It is a chapter, and within that chapter lies the potential for a transformation that wholeness alone could never give. Broken pieces can become a testimony. They can become the reason someone else believes in hope again. They can become the mirror that reflects resilience to those who are weary and the beacon that says, "If I can rise, so can you." Think of the potters of old who practiced the art of repair with gold. When a vessel was cracked or shattered, they did not discard it. They filled the fractures with golden lacquer, sealing the breaks in a way that made them visible, not hidden. The result was not a perfect, untouched pot, but something far more precious, an object whose very breaks made it valuable. So it is with you. Your cracks, your breaks, your wounds, when healed with wisdom and courage, become golden seams. They tell the story of your survival, and that story is its own kind of beauty. There will be times when you cannot yet see the beauty. You may only see the jagged edges, the sharp reminders of what was lost. Do not despair in that season. Beauty is not always immediate, it is often revealed in time. The seed buried in the earth does not reveal its flower overnight. The mosaic is not complete until every piece is set in place. Trust that what feels fragmented now is still part of a greater design, even if you cannot yet see it. Your broken pieces can also teach you to value life in a deeper way. Once you have been broken, you no longer take wholeness for granted. You understand the preciousness of peace because you have known chaos. You understand the gift of joy because you have tasted sorrow. You see the sunrise differently because you have lived through long nights. Brokenness sharpens your vision, making you aware of beauty in places you once overlooked. There is also a tenderness that grows in those who have been broken. You learn to handle others with gentleness because you know the sharp sting of pain yourself. Your heart becomes a softer place, not weaker, but wiser. You understand silence, tears, and struggles without words. This tenderness is its own kind of beauty, an invisible strength that draws others near because they feel seen and understood in your presence. Do not believe the lie that your value ended with your breaking. If anything, your value has deepened. What you carry now is not only your own story, but also the story of endurance, the story of transformation, the story of beauty rising from ashes. You are not just a person who once was whole. You are a person who was broken and still chose to live, to love, to shine. And that is a beauty far greater than perfection could ever offer. When you look at your broken pieces, see them not as trash to be swept away, but as treasure waiting to be arranged. You may not yet know how the pieces fit together, but they do. You may not yet see the light shining through them, but it will. Trust the process of becoming. Trust that the fragments of your life are not wasted. Nothing you have endured is meaningless. Every break, every crack, every fracture can become part of the masterpiece you are still becoming. So stand among your broken pieces with courage. Pick them up one by one, with trembling hands if you must, and trust that they can still create something whole, something beautiful, something radiant. Let the light shine through your fractures. Let the gold fill your cracks. Let the mosaic of your life speak of resilience and hope. For broken pieces do not mean the end of beauty. They are, in truth, the beginning of it. Your spirit is unbreakable. Life may bend your body, it may bruise your heart, it may weary your mind until you feel you cannot take another step, but there is something within you that no circumstance, no trial, no betrayal, and no storm can destroy. It is the essence of who you are, the breath that was placed in you before you ever took your first cry, the flame that flickers even when the winds of life blow harshly against you. That spirit is your core, your anchor, your eternal light. And though the world may try to convince you otherwise, though pain may whisper to you that you are finished, your spirit rises in quiet defiance and says, "Not yet, not ever." You have seen days that shook you to your knees, days when your strength felt drained, when grief curled itself around your chest and squeezed until you could hardly breathe. You have faced moments when the weight of disappointment pressed so heavily upon you that you thought your heart would never beat the same again. And yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still carrying a spark inside you that refuses to be extinguished. That spark is your spirit. It is unyielding, unstoppable, unbreakable. Do not confuse the breaking of your heart with the breaking of your spirit. The heart can be broken by loss, by love betrayed, by dreams deferred. The mind can be shaken by doubt, by fear, by uncertainty. The body can be beaten, scarred, or exhausted. But the spirit remains untouchable. It cannot be torn. It cannot be shattered. It cannot be taken from you. It is the divine essence of endurance, the eternal well from which you draw your strength. And when everything else feels fragile, the spirit whispers, "I am still here." You may be bent, but you are not broken. You may be weary, but you are not finished. You may be tested, but you are not defeated. For your spirit is the quiet witness of your resilience. It is what carried you through nights of loneliness when no one answered your cries. It is what stood beside you in silence when no one saw your tears. It is what lifted you when the weight of the world pressed down on your shoulders. It is the voice within that said, "Rise again." Even when your body trembled and your mind doubted. The world may look at you and see weakness in your tears, but your spirit knows that every tear is evidence of a heart that still feels, still loves, still hopes. The world may see fragility in your trembling hands, but your spirit knows that trembling is not surrender. It is persistence in motion. The world may see defeat in your scars, but your spirit knows that every scar is proof that you were wounded, and yet you survived. Your spirit cannot be measured by the size of your victories or the recognition of your triumphs. It is measured by your ability to keep moving when the road is long and lonely. It is measured by your decision to rise even when you fall 7 times. It is measured by your refusal to let bitterness take root in your heart, even when you have every reason to give up. This kind of strength is not loud. It does not demand attention. It is quiet, steady, and enduring. And it lives inside of you. Even in the darkest valley, your spirit shines. Even when fear tries to chain you, your spirit remembers freedom. Even when sorrow bends your back, your spirit straightens you from within. It does not deny the reality of pain. It simply refuses to bow to it. And that refusal, that resilience, is the mark of an unbreakable soul. Do not let anyone tell you that you are too fragile, too wounded, too broken to rise again. They do not know the strength of your spirit. They do not know how many nights you have already survived, how many storms you have already walked through, how many times you have already picked yourself up from the dust. You are not defined by the pain you have endured. You are defined by the spirit that endured the pain. Your spirit is like the oak tree battered by winds but never uprooted. It is like the mountain scarred by storms but still standing tall. It is like the flame, flickering but never extinguished. It is like the river, bending and curving but always moving forward. You carry within you a strength older than your pain, deeper than your wounds, greater than any trial you face, and that strength is unbreakable. When you feel weak, remind yourself weakness is temporary, but spirit is eternal. When you feel shattered, remind yourself the pieces may fall, but the essence remains whole. When you feel lost, remind yourself your spirit has a compass, and it will always point you toward life, toward hope, toward light. So walk with courage, even when your steps are slow. Stand with dignity, even when your shoulders are heavy. Speak with truth, even when your voice shakes. For nothing can destroy what lives within you. Nothing can silence the eternal flame of your spirit. And every time you rise after falling, every time you smile after weeping, every time you love after losing, you prove once again that your spirit is unbreakable. Choose to rise again. No matter how heavy the fall, no matter how deep the wound, no matter how final the ending may appear, there remains within you the sacred power of choice. Life will bring you to your knees. It will knock the breath from your chest. It will leave you lying in the dust, convinced that you cannot move again. But in that moment, when you are face to face with despair, when everything in you whispers, "Stay down," you still have a decision to make. Will you remain among the ruins, or will you choose deliberately, defiantly, to rise again? Rising is not about erasing the fall. Rising does not deny the pain, the loss, or the scars. Rising is about declaring that the fall will not be the final word of your story. You may rise slowly, you may rise trembling, you may rise with tears still wet upon your face, but rising itself is victory. To stand after you have fallen is one of the most courageous acts a soul can perform. For the ground will always try to convince you that it is your home, but your spirit knows you were made for higher places. There is dignity in the rising. There is a quiet triumph in the act of pulling yourself from the dust and deciding, "This is not the end of me." It is not about being untouched. It is about being unstoppable. It is not about pretending the fall never happened. It is about proving that the fall could not hold you. Each time you rise, you announce to the world and to yourself that resilience still beats in your chest. Do not wait until you feel fully ready to rise. If you wait until the pain is gone, until the pieces are neatly in place, until the fear has disappeared, you may wait forever. Rise with trembling knees, rise with unsteady hands, rise with a heart that still aches and a voice that still quivers. Rising is not about perfection, it is about persistence. It is about answering life's blow with defiance, saying, "I will not stay buried in this place." When you choose to rise again, you ignite something within you. That choice lights a fire that cannot be extinguished. The act of standing awakens courage, and courage awakens hope, and hope opens the door to transformation. You do not have to know what tomorrow will bring. You only need to rise today. Each day you rise, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Each day you rise, you gather strength. Each day you rise, you move closer to the wholeness that is waiting for you. There will be voices around you, some telling you it is too late, some reminding you of your failures, some doubting your ability to ever stand tall again. But the most dangerous voice is the one within that whispers, "Why try?" Silence that voice with action. Silence it by rising. For once you stand, once you take that first step, once you lift your head from the dust, that voice grows weaker. And soon what was once a whisper of despair is replaced with the steady beat of determination. Think of the phoenix rising from its ashes. Fire consumes, ashes remain, but from those ashes new wings unfurl, stronger, brighter, more radiant than before. So too with you. Your ashes are not the end. They are the beginning of your rebirth. Rising does not mean returning to who you once were. It means becoming someone new, someone deeper, someone wiser, someone forged by the flames of trial. And when you rise, you do not rise for yourself alone. You rise for those who watch silently, wondering if they too can stand again. You rise for the brokenhearted who need proof that healing is possible. You rise for the weary who long for an example of resilience. Your rising is not only your victory, it becomes their hope. By choosing to rise, you remind the world that no fall, however devastating, is final. Remember this: every sunrise is proof of the possibility of rising. Night falls heavy, shadows stretch long, but the morning always comes. So too will your morning come. Choose to meet it. Choose to rise into it. Choose to let your life speak of resilience louder than your wounds speak of pain. Rising does not mean you will not stumble again. It does not mean the path will be easy. But each time you fall and rise again, you grow stronger. Each time you rise, you teach your soul that despair is temporary, but hope is eternal. Each time you rise, you move closer to becoming the fullest version of yourself, the one who was never defined by the fall, but always defined by the rising. So rise, even if slowly, rise, even if gently, rise, even if it hurts to do so. For every rise is a triumph, every rise is a statement, every rise is a sacred song that declares, I am still here, I am still becoming, I will not be broken forever. And when you have risen, look back not with shame, but with gratitude. For the fall taught you humility, but the rising taught you power. The fall revealed your fragility, but the rising revealed your strength. The fall showed you what it means to hurt, but the rising showed you what it means to heal. Both belong to your story, but the rising is where your story shines. Choose to rise again. Choose it every day. Choose it every time the world pushes you down. Choose it even when you do not feel ready. For rising is not only what you do, it is who you are. You are the soul that endures, the flame that refuses to die, the song that refuses to be silenced. And as long as you have breath, you have the power to rise again. When you feel broken, remember this truth: brokenness is not the end. It is the place where rebirth begins. Your scars are not signs of defeat, but marks of survival. The silence you endured gave birth to strength. The shattered pieces of your life are not wasted. They can be shaped into beauty that tells a deeper story than perfection ever could. Though the world may press upon you, though pain may visit your heart, your spirit remains unbreakable. And when the choice comes, as it always does, choose to rise again. Rise with trembling knees, rise with weary hands, rise with a soul that refuses to stay buried in the dust. For every rise is a declaration, every rise is a victory, every rise is a song sung by the brave. And let your life be that song, a song of resilience, of courage, of undying hope that echoes long after the silence is past.